Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first ever quasi-spontaneous press conference, press conference with no press. I'm sitting in an empty church. Doesn't this look weird? And I know there are a number of you here. I've got I guess this is live, right? Brad, it's working? It's not appearing on my phone yet. Oh, there it is. Look at that. It's just usually there's little, anywhere between a 5 to a 25-second lag on YouTube. So, but the reason I've got my phone up is because we want this to be a little bit interactive. If you have any questions that you want to ask, just type them into your chat function on your phone, on your computer, on your browser, your iPad, whatever it is that you're using. So as you know, this week has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. Midweek, we heard from Dr. Strang's office that we could be increasing capacity, which was, wow, it was great, it was fantastic. And we had a number of meetings, discussions around, do we go back up to 140, do we come down to, we had settled on about maybe 125, because we want to constantly be trying to respect the proper social distancing measures. Then, of course, numbers started going up, and of course, the dangerous thing here is the variants that have come into the province. They're a bit more contagious, a bit more dangerous. And as we've learned all along in this pandemic, the measurements we're able to measure, the measurements we have today really represent what happened 2 weeks ago. And so I think the leadership of our province has been very wise in taking the measures that they have so that we don't, in a sense, end up with the same kind of situation as we are seeing in other parts of the world and in other parts of Canada. So what does that mean for us? Well, effectively, it means our church is closed for the next 4 weeks. We got directions from the diocese today that says even when we do online mass, we have to preserve 2 different bubbles. So we have one bubble of 5 people for the technology. So that would be Brad and maybe 1 or 2 other people. But I can't talk to Brad. I can't touch Brad. I can't be anywhere near Brad. And then the other bubble would be probably myself, Father Rob, a reader, a musician, and a cantor. So 5 people for the liturgy. So that's it. That's what it's going to be for 4 weeks. So for the next 4 Sundays, that's what's happening. So this coming Sunday, Mass will be online. I'll be presiding. Father Rob will be preaching. We hope that you join us. We hope that you can be here. We hope we can just kind of like hang out like this. I know it's not quite the same thing, but that's what we've got to work with. And thankfully, we've got this, the system in place. Actually, there's a little bit of a difference. We have installed another camera. I'm going to point to it right now. So this is a 4th camera that we installed. It's a bit more down at eye level, and it just gives us a bit more perspective, a bit more angles to work with. So that's an improvement to our system. We've also installed some lights. That's why I don't look as dark as I have in the past when I've been sitting in front of the altar here. So we knew when we installed this system before Christmas that we would eventually need lights. We just wanted some time with the system to see what happened. So we're well equipped to be able to do this. What does this mean for things like confessions? Well, for tomorrow anyway, the church is closed, so there'll be no the scheduled confessions tomorrow. Our Sacrament of Reconciliation will not take place. I'll be talking with Father Rob about how to do this going forward and how we can be creative in making the Sacrament of Reconciliation available. We will also let you know midweek about the possibility of live streaming a weekday Mass. Now, the other thing was that, as you probably saw in the parish communications, the priest retreat was supposed to be this week. We were supposed to be going down to White Point and with all the priests. And of course, that's been canceled because we can't leave HRM. And I was curious to see what the Archdiocese would do. And what's happened is that the retreat is being rescheduled. They were able to find another week. So it's I think May 31st to June 4th, which is bumping it about 5 weeks. And actually, I looked at my calendar. It's like, well, that kind of actually works. For Father Rob, it was a bit more challenging because he had a vacation week planned for that week. So he's flipping them around. So next week, I'm actually going to be here. After all the things we said, I'm going to be here, even though there's not a lot to do sacramentally with Mass, but there's certainly a lot to do administratively and with emails and phone calls and all of that. So I'm going to be here. Father Rob is going to take a vacation next week, so he's going to keep that time blocked off. So that's what we're looking at right now. Other than that, it's been a full day here today. It's been a full day. So let me look at my phone to see if any of you have any questions. We've got Santana Campbell. Hi, Santana. You usually sit right here. Santana saying, hi, Father James. Will there be one person during the readings every Mass, or will there be rotations? That's a good question, Santana. I would say probably we'll get a few different people. That would be my guess. I really would have to, I'll leave that to Margaret to decide. But, one of our principles is always to include as many people as possible and not just have the same people doing everything. So I think that same principle would be applied. But I think Margaret Langley will be in touch with you because she oversees the lectors for that. But that's a very, very good question. Malcolm says, have you considered streaming the Mass directly onto Facebook as well as YouTube? I think you will reach more people, God willing. Well, that is a good question, Malcolm. Brad is our communications person, and I guess I'll get him to answer that question. Is that a yes, Brad? It's in, he answered it in the chat. What did Brad say? Hasn't come up yet. But anyway, I'm quite sure that's something we're thinking about doing because the system is fairly new, and it's true. Like I know in other parishes, they would get 5-6 times the number of people on Facebook Live as they do on YouTube. So I think we're probably going to be expanding that in the near future. So thanks for that. Thanks for that question. Oh, there's Brad's answer. Going to try that in the future. Absolutely. Ashley, hi Ashley. Will you still use altar servers or not? Good question. I think so. Myself and Father Rob, a reader and 2 musicians. That means when Father Rob says Mass, I'm going to have to be the altar server, and when I'm saying Mass, Father Rob will have to be the altar server, at least for now. So unless a weekday Mass, we might have an altar server because, again, we don't have music, so we can have 1 or 2 extra people. So we will keep you posted on that. It's funny that this news came out late last night, and we had a whole bunch of meetings lined up, and so part of everyone's experiencing this in the different roles in their life where there's this crunch time to pivot and make a lot of decisions. So some of these things we just haven't gotten around to yet. In fact, it was really interesting that this morning. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me just. Linda Young. Will the office be closed for volunteers? Yes, it will. Because even though we have 2 buildings in which our staff are spread out, we basically, in the building that hosts the parish office for volunteers, there's 5 of us. And so we're going to have to limit it at that. So basically what we're doing is for the next 4 weeks, the office is going to be open between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So it's going to be that window. And Brad and myself and other staff members on site are basically going to answer the doors in that time, simply because we just can't have that many people. So volunteers, you got a vacation or a retreat. 63 people? Are you kidding me? I thought I was talking to 10 people. 63 people on, that's great. Or 63 streams. So come on everyone, start asking me questions here. Liz Galsworthy. Will there still be a drop-off point for the food, for food bank? I guess the food bank may close too. Liz, that's a great question. Yes, Brad is telling me yes. You see, you're probably thinking, why is Father James doing this? He doesn't know anything. It's like, I just look at Brad to get the answer. We have the yes. Yes, put it that way, yes. You know, I have to say, I've always said that if a parish priest knows the answer to every single question about the life of the parish, that's a sign either of that the parish priest is a micromanager or there's not much going on. So I'm very proud to say that I don't know the answers to most of your questions, but we can find the answers. So yes, the food bank is still going. Office is closed, only staff drop off for food from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Yep. There you go. By the way, do you guys like do you like the flowers, the Easter lilies? They're fresh Easter lilies. Hey, Brad, can we get the wide angle and you can show it? See the lovely Easter lilies here. I'm going to tell you a secret. They're actual very special Easter lilies. There you go. They look great, don't they? Put it this way, they're the kind of Easter lilies that will always be in season, if you know what I mean. Can't really tell. It's quite amazing. Anyway, don't tell anyone. We'll get real ones for Easter week next week, and then we'll get these going again. Yeah, so any other questions? If we give monetary donations in envelopes, is it okay to drop them off at the office? Monetary donations are always welcome at any time. I make a little joke about that, but the point is that this is a very serious issue for us and for any charity. Is that when our normal means of funding what we do is gathering in person, when those gatherings are suspended, that creates a load of trouble. So the answer to that is yes, they can be put through the door, they can be dropped off at the office in those times, or you could go on the website and make a contribution electronically. All of that would be very, very, very helpful for sure. Folks, one thing too, I was thinking through this, I think for all of us, there were two things that struck me this morning when I got up. It was like, number one, it was snowing, and number two, we were on a new lockdown, and it was like Groundhog Day or something, didn't we already do this? And indeed, a year ago we were going through this. And whenever we experience those kind of setbacks, what feels like a setback, there's this part of us that just is like, oh, I wish this was over. And I think we all feel that. I think a couple of things that help with that feeling. Number one is that yes, it will be over. Everything passes. This too shall pass. Like there will be a moment in time where we're going to say, remember when, and it won't be too far from now. I mean, many more people have been vaccinated. We're making progress with that. But I think what makes any hardship bearable or less frustrating, perhaps easier to bear, is remembering the ultimate reason for this. We're allowing a limitation of our usual activities principally because we want to care for people who are most vulnerable. And that's called love. That's an act of love. So just remember that when we make the sacrifice, remember we used to always say, offer it up. Yeah, it's a love offering. So when you feel the inconvenience, when you feel the frustration, and remember, it's totally normal and acceptable to feel that way. Let's turn that around and offer it up, and to realize that as we enter into solidarity with one another and solidarity with those who are sick and those who are vulnerable, that this is actually a good thing, not just for us as individuals, not just for us as a church. It's actually a good thing for us as a society, as Nova Scotians, as people who live within HRM. I don't know what you call someone who lives in HRM. HRMer? I don't know. We used to be Haligonians or Dartmouthians, but now we're HRMers, I guess. Maybe someone online will tell me what we are. Kathy, thank you for taking the time to do this. Kathy, thank you. Actually, I can't claim any credit. This was Brad's idea, but Brad, in fact, didn't even ask me. He just said, Father James, you're going live at 3 o'clock. I was like, okay. So, Debbie McNeil, I can help with live streaming in the booth if needed. Debbie, thank you so much. Debbie and other parishioners are just so amazingly generous with your time and your talent, and I'm so impressed with, especially with our technology volunteers who have stepped in and said, I'm not only am I going to do this, I'm going to learn how to do it. And so thank you for that willingness to help. And of course, those of you who help out with the office, as soon as we can reopen again, we'll get that going. Speaking of helping out in the office, many of you knew that we were doing job interviews these last 2 weeks for 2 positions, for the position of office manager and the position of social outreach coordinator. And we are actually doing the final interviews later this afternoon. So as soon as I finish this, I'm going to be going into the final interviews, and we hope in the next week to be able to make a decision and make an announcement about those positions. So please continue to pray for that. A few more comments coming in. Therese, will you still be delivering food for St. Vincent de Paul? We are volunteers. Therese, that's a great question. Thank you first and foremost for your ministry with St. Vincent de Paul. You know, it's one of the great heroic ministries in so many parishes. And, you know, Jesus says, when you give, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. And St. Vincent de Paul, well, you guys often do that. You're unsung heroes. You do your ministry behind the scenes and work constantly behind the scenes. So, short answer to your question, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know what kind of protocols we have in place for St. Vincent de Paul ministry to continue to deliver food to homes. So please be patient with us, and we will try to get an answer to that question. And, you know, I would just simply touch base with the leaders of the ministry. They probably know a lot more about the directives that are coming for that part of your ministry more than me. So, but if it's possible, we'll make it happen. Or you'll make it happen for sure. Michelle Brown will say she's still a Dartmouthian. Yes, Dartmouthian. Thank you for, that's great. So, yeah. No, another question coming in. There we go. Ursula, Yakshimash. Ursula is one of our members, our parishioners, who's a member of the Polish community. We have, I met with the Polish community a few weeks ago, had a wonderful chat with them, and they were, you know, inspired, you know, while celebrating the uniqueness of their community as a community of faith that is marked by their own language and culture. They're very much desire to grow in being a part of the bigger community of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So it's great to have you with us, Ursula. Of course, no Mass in Polish. Of course, thank you, Ursula. That goes without saying. So, yeah. All right. So, any other questions? Here's the thing. I've got about 7 more minutes before I have to go to get ready for the job interviews, but maybe this is a chance for you to ask any other questions that you may have. You know, it's remarkable, really, to think that we've got this technology now. We can just do this. It's such a blessing to be able to do. Malcolm, hi, Father James. Do you have a group in the church for university-age youth, young people? Malcolm, we're not yet. Got here in this parish in August, and you know, with a lot of different challenges. So we're getting going, but we definitely have a vision. Our hope for the future, part of the church we want to be in the future, is where there would be small groups for everyone. Small groups for everyone to belong to, groups where you can get to know people, be known by people, groups where people care for each other, where we grow spiritually, we share life together, and some of these groups can be formed by age and such things. One of the things we're doing right now to try to enter into normalizing that kind of thing is we're calling it an alpha taster. So we're doing an alpha taster. We're hoping to do alpha in September for real, but right now we're just inviting all of our parishioners to do it. We're not inviting people on the outside of the parish or people who don't go to church, which is really what alpha is for. So this gives us an experience of actually being in community. Someone said once that a parish begins to be transformed when you move people from sitting in rows to sitting in circles. And so we're starting to do that. But that would be one of our hopes, is to have a university age group. I will say this, that there's a little experiment going to be happening at the local community college with a full-time young person working in chaplaincy. I think maybe half-time or something. And there's going to be some kind of an arrangement with our parish. So that's something in the coming year we might be able to see grow. Now, Father Rob Alford is asking me to tell a joke. So I'll tell you a joke. So basically, so how can I tell you a joke? All right. So there was a terrible, I'm going to mess this joke up, but there was a terrible disaster, okay? And both Brad McKinnon and Rob Alford were tragically killed in an accident. This is just a joke, right? And thankfully, they both went to heaven. And Brad arrived, and St. Peter said, Brad, it's great to have you here, but you haven't been, don't read any theology into this joke. You haven't been the best Christian, so you kind of have to undergo a bit of punishment for now, and until you make up for all the things that you did wrong. So Brad was basically handcuffed to this, how can I say, this is not a very I just realized this is not a very politically correct joke. I think I first heard this joke 20 years ago. So he was handcuffed to not exactly the most beautiful woman in the world, if you know what I mean. And he was handcuffed, and he had to walk around for like 6 months, handcuffed to this not the most attractive woman in the world. And then afterwards he would be able to enter the fullness of heaven. Anyway, a couple of months went by, and one day he turned the corner, and there was Father Rob Alford. And he was handcuffed to the most beautiful woman Brad had ever seen. I couldn't believe it. And Brad, he thought, I wasn't that much worse than Rob Alford. How come he gets the beautiful woman and I, and so he was really upset about this. And he went back to St. Peter and said, St. Peter, I've got a real beef. I think this is very, very unfair. I just bumped into Rob Alford, and he was handcuffed to the most beautiful woman I've ever laid eyes on. Like, what gives? What's going on here? And St. Peter said, Brad, she didn't live a perfect life either. Anyway, so there you go, Rob Alford. You get my joke. I hope this isn't being recorded. It is being recorded, isn't it? Oh boy. So folks, I think that's about it. Thanks for joining us, and God bless you. We'll see you on the weekend. Father Rob is going to be preaching, and I'll be presiding. We'll have some music, and we're going to rotate. This coming Sunday we'll have the 11 a.m. music, and the following Sunday we'll have the music that's normally at the 9 a.m. Mass. So we're going to vary the musical styles at our Mass. And we will let you know early next week about some possibilities for live streaming weekday Mass as well. Rob Alford said, I'm sorry I asked. Ha ha. Oh, Donna Davis, Father Rob and Father James, here's one for the future. A priest, a minister, and a rabbit walked into a bar. The rabbit said, I think I'm a typo. Oh, that's a good one. Here's a... I heard that this bear walked into a bar and said, I'd like to order a beer. And the bartender said, what's with the long pause? He said, I was born with them. Anyway. Okay, folks. God bless. Take care. Bye now.